morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, October 26, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S. We think it's 3:30 p.m. in London. We're going to check that. In Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, please phone in toll-free in the U.S. at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. Today's birthday, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is 62 years old today. And it was 7 years ago today that the theater in Moscow that was seized by the Chechen rebels with 800 people or so inside was liberated by Russian special forces. Unfortunately, they used a knockout gas that killed 129 of the hostages. Now to our main news. This is a picture of the headquarters of ING in Holland. It's shaped like an ocean liner, actually, and with the news from ING this morning, I guess they're going to have to cut it in half. ING announced this morning that it plans to break up its insurance and banking businesses. It's going to raise about $11 billion U.S. in a stock issue. This after reaching a deal with the Dutch government to repay it ahead of schedule half the money it received from them in a bailout last year. ING was propped up with 10 billion euros in emergency funding from the Dutch government in October of last year to help cushion the company's core Tier 1 capital, a measure of financial strength during the big global economic crisis. Since then, the company has been divesting itself of assets in Europe, Asia, and North America, trying to raise capital. It's also been trying to deal with European Union regulators who are still investigating the Dutch government's aid to ING under an asset guarantee program that both entities entered into in January. ING said this morning it had wrapped up talks with the EU. It's led to its decision now to separate its banking and insurance businesses. It's going to divest itself of the insurance businesses over the next 4 years. Jan Holman, CEO of ING, said that splitting the company is not a decision we took lightly. Allianz is making some news. They're saying that cat bonds should be changed. Allianz is Europe's second biggest insurer by market value. They said the market for insurance-linked securities like cat bonds should be standardized and that they need to become more affordable. According to Clement von Wijks, head of the insurer's reinsurance unit, we should move from handmade to manufacturers to be able to bring securitizations at a much cheaper price to the market. The time to construct the securitization is 4 to 6 months with too many people involved. Allianz sold a $180 million cat bond back in April to protect itself from U.S. losses. The gentleman proceeded to say, we're convinced that the securitization of risks will expand. They'll continue to complement traditional reinsurance but not replace it. Mr. von Wijks spoke at the Baden-Baden conference. Also, the next story comes from Baden-Baden as well. Our friend Tad Montrose. Tad is the Gen Re chairman and CEO. He countered comments from some brokers that the direct reinsurance model is under increased pressure worldwide, specifically in Europe as well as in the U.S. Montrose said that, of course, the brokers tell you that the direct reinsurance model is dead. The truth is that we're very much committed to the direct model because it resonates with many clients and we're seeing many more opportunities. Couldn't pass on this, even though it happened on Friday. This is a huge blast down in Puerto Rico. This was a oil storage farm owned by the Caribbean Petroleum Corporation. 2 people were hurt. Thankfully, no one was killed. 17 of the facility's 40 tanks at Bayamon, just on the outskirts of San Juan, were at one point on fire. The tanks held jet fuel, bunker fuel, and regular gasoline. The explosion ticked off seismic meters and registered a 2.8 magnitude earthquake on the Richter scale. Some 1,500 people were ultimately forced to move. The fire has finally been put out. At its height, the Federal Air Traffic Authority moved incoming and outgoing jets from San Juan International out of the path of the smoke. Smoke reached as high as 300 feet in the air. Prisoners in a high-security jail nearby were also moved as well. Well, it looks as if the Philippines have dodged a bullet with Tropical Storm Lupit. Here we have the current location of Lupit. Those are not the Philippine Islands, those are the Japanese islands. Lupit is about 511 miles southwest of Tokyo, and it's going to be going by, actually, I guess that's southwest to northeast. It's blowing at about 102 kilometers an hour. That's about 60 to 65 miles per hour. It's going to get as close as 270 kilometers, or about 160 miles from Tokyo at 3 a.m. tomorrow. It's then going to intensify after it passes Japan, but it won't be in any harm's way. Meanwhile, down by the Philippines, Tropical Depression 23W. You see this here. This is coming out from the U.S. Navy Joint Typhoon Warning Center. All the way to the right there's Andersen Air Force Base in Guam. That's where the Typhoon Warning Center is located. You can see that this is, if it develops the way they're thinking, this is going to become a typhoon they're expecting by October 28th, and it's going to come into Luzon on October 31st, which would be Saturday. So it looks as if the Philippines, even though they got a break from Lupit, are not necessarily going to dodge the next bullet. Stocks are up about 41 points now. We'll go to a word from our sponsors.
Every day, the world wakes up and goes to work, pursuing the unique opportunities that lead the global economy forward. The complexity and close connectivity of today's global marketplace is a true modern miracle that can create unparalleled success. But it takes confidence, passion, innovation, and understanding.
Enabling opportunity. Protecting capital.
Engineering innovation.
Investing in your future.
Ensuring continuity.
Finding the right balance.
It takes Aon.
You may not know this name, but if you lost any money with Bernie Madoff, you do know this name. This is Jeffrey Pickauer and his wife, in happier times, obviously. Mr. Pickauer was found dead late Friday at the bottom of his swimming pool at his sprawling estate in Palm Beach in Florida. Pickauer apparently had made more than $7 billion from Madoff. He was listed as number 371 on the Forbes 400 list of the wealthiest Americans. Some victims of Madoff's Ponzi scheme say that Pickauer was the fraud's biggest beneficiary. The trustee, who's seeking to return money to those people who were disenfranchised, Irving Picard, has demanded that Pickauer return his bogus profits. Pickauer is now dead, and an autopsy is being conducted today to determine whether it was suicide or simply an accident. News from Australia. Here's a picture of the Sydney skyline. They received 3 inches of rain in 24 hours. Torrential rain and high winds lashed Australia's most populated state of New South Wales today, leaving 1 person dead, hundreds of homes without power. It wreaked havoc during the morning commute. 1 man was killed when his car struck a tree. State emergency officials received about 80 phone calls for help. 900 homes in Sydney were without power. A major earthquake over the weekend, initially measured at 7.4 but downgraded to 7.0. Here you see a picture of it in Indonesia. A tsunami alert was issued but later withdrawn. There have been no reports of any damages or injuries. Meanwhile, the Spanish national airline Iberia Líneas Aéreas de España, has grounded 400 flights today and tomorrow